Minglaba and welcome to Myanmar Radio's Myanmar Today. I am Aga Jo. Today we have reports on 88% of the COVID-19 reported cases tested negative for 2 times. MCCT, solution to maternal and child nutrition. Re-amendment to income tax bill causes bid cold in real estate market in August. And how is COVID-19 changing the way of food industries? All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today. But for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councillor and Chairperson of the National Reconciliation and Peace Center, Daw San Suu Kyi, received the Peace Process Steering Team Acting Leader Sat Yot Sirk, who is also Chairman of the Restoration Council of Shan State, in her residence in Naypyidaw yesterday afternoon. During the meeting, they cordially discussed the development arrangements for the 4th session of the Union Peace Conference 21st Century Binglo and the peace process being conducted in accordance with the nationwide ceasefire agreement. A relief flight of Myanmar National Airlines brought back 151 Myanmar nationals stranded in the Philippines, and it landed at the Yangon International Airport yesterday evening. As they arrived in Yangon, officials from the Ministry of Labor, Immigration and Population, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and the Yangon Region government held for their 21-day quarantine period in line with the regulations of the immigration and medical checks. To bring back the Myanmar citizens who were stranded in foreign countries by relief flights and charter flights in accordance with instructions from National Level Central Committee for Coronavirus Disease 2019. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs cooperated with relevant ministries and Myanmar embassies from respective countries. Yangon night market on Strand Road closed during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it now reopens as usual. Small non-food shops have opened since June, with 1 to 2 remaining closed. Bars opened until 10:30 p.m. in mid-July. Now there are 30 non-food shops and 97 food shops, 5 container restaurants and 8 container bars. And we're now preparing another one to open. As for monthly rental fees, 25,000 chats are paid for a small food shop and 13,000 chats for a second-hand shop. The night market has been open since 2017. It has restaurants and night entertainment programs. There are bars and shops selling Asian foods, European foods, Indian foods, Arabic foods, as well as tea shops and local food shops. That's all the local news. Now we will move on to our first report. According to the data released by the Ministry of Health and Sports, until 7 a.m. on 12th of August, 318 persons have tested negative for 2 times out of all the 361 COVID-19 reported cases, accounting for 88% of all the cases. Only 44 people are still under the treatments at the respective hospitals, and 310 have been discharged. Suirana has more.
According to the data released by the Ministry of Health and Sports, until at 7 a.m. on 12th August, 318 persons have tested negative for 2 times out of all the 361 COVID-19 reported cases, accounting for 88% of all the cases. Only 44 people are still under the treatments at their respective hospitals, and 310 have been discharged. Among the remaining 44 people, 18 persons are at South Okalapa Women and Children Hospital, 16 at Webagi Specialist Hospital, 5 at D Dame Hospital, 2 at Pa'an Hospital, 1 at Molamyang Hospital, Kottang Hospital, and Kalay Hospital. Myanmar is under the great process in controlling the spread of the virus. Starting from late March, when the very first 2 COVID-19 cases for the Myanmar were founded, the government has set up the restrictions that would balance both sides of the public and the virus controlling part. Setting up semi-lockdowns and social distancing plans made some of the people difficult in following the guidelines. Firstly, people have faced the unaffordable price of the surgical masks. Some places where huge crowds can occur are still under closure. Yangon has the highest number of infection rate in Myanmar. Despite the COVID-19 outbreak, there are still some townships which are free from the virus. Among them, Tala Township is free from the virus, even though it is only separated by the Yangon River between downtown area. Utoye, Region Lutta representative from Tala Township Constituency 1, told MI Radio about the processes carried out in the township and how the residents follow the instructions.
Since the COVID-19 outbreak occurs, we have urged the residents to wear masks whenever going out, especially in the markets. The rules are strictly restricted first, like the place of sampan gates, where the passengers were reduced by half. This is why there are no reported cases in our townships. At the beginning of this outbreak, there are altogether 30 quarantine centers and only 18 have suspected patients. There are also foreign returnees to our township. We managed not to miss the livelihood of the residents and the preventive health measures. Currently, people are familiar with the new normal lifestyle and they are getting used to wearing masks. So we don't need to worry much. We give the self-awareness about the preventive health guidelines to the residents by loudspeakers and pamphlets.
He also shared how he followed the health guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports.
According to the proverb, prevention is better than cure. We need to strictly follow the health measures. I put hand wash basins in front of the house. I ask the visitors to my house to wash hands as well. I carry hand sanitizer together with me to the places where hand wash basins are unavailable. I suggest my family members to go out only when necessary.
In Myanmar, 12 states and regions are now completely free from the virus. Gaya State still remains the only region without any COVID-19 reported case. Only Yangon, Kayin and Chin are seeing ongoing active COVID-19 cases. Ukokola, a resident from Tala Township, said his opinions on COVID-19 outbreak and what he hopes for.
As there
are no reported cases in our township, I don't feel worried at all. I think every resident in our township is lucky enough. If there were a positive patient, the authorities would take care of it and issue necessary rules and regulations. So if there is no reported case in our township, I will spend my days normally.
There are altogether 361 COVID-19 reported cases with 318 recoveries and 6 deaths, according to the data released from the Ministry of Health and Sports until at 8 a.m. on 13 August. More than 20 million people are affected by the COVID-19 disease and over 740,000 died from this disease, according to the Worldometer Coronavirus Resource Center.
That's a report on 88% of the COVID-19 reported cases tested negative for 2 times. With the aim to reduce malnutrition among the children, which disturbs the holistic growth of the children, the Department of Social Welfare, under the Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, is collaborating with ARPay and KBZPay, where roughly about 250,000 women are expected to be reached out in Ayeyarwady region and Shan State. Williamson has more.
Child survival and good health of the children are some of the most fundamental development of a nation and its prosperity. And according to the report by UNICEF, Myanmar has one of the highest mortality rates for children under 5 years of age in ASEAN region. According to 2014 census, the mortality rate for under 5 was 50 deaths per 1,000 births, and most of them within the first month of life. Most deaths could have been prevented through effective health, nutrition, hygiene, sanitation interventions delivered through the strengthened healthcare system. Many children in Myanmar struggle to access adequate nutrition. Therefore, with the aim to reduce this issue in Myanmar, the government has already launched some projects in some of the least developed places where the malnutrition and stunting are high in the areas such as Chin State, Rakhine State, Naga Self-Administered Zone, Kayin State and Gaya State have been receiving this maternal and child nutrition fund. As for the second phase, the Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement is collaborating with AI Bank and KBZ Pay, where they launched together a program called Maternal and Child Care Transfer, or MCCT, to Ayauri region and Chan State. The launching ceremony was held on 13th of August at M Gallery Hotel in Naypyidaw. Speaking to the media on how important this program is, Dr. Sanzan A, Director General for the Department of Social Welfare, said,
ဒီနေ့လုပ်တဲ့အခမ်းအနားတော့ AR တိုင်းဒေသကြီးနဲ့ရှမ်းပြည်နယ်မှာကျမတို့ဒီနှစ်2019-20 ဘဏ္ဍာနှစ်မှာတိုးချဲ့ဆောင်ရွက်တဲ့ကိုဝန်ဆောင်မိခင်အနေနဲ့၎င်း
The MCCT program will benefit pregnant and lactating women, infants, and young children up to the age of 2 and their families and communities in prioritized nutritionally vulnerable geographic areas. In most cases, MCCT beneficiaries are unbanked and financially underserved. Therefore, we decided to appoint AYA Pay and KBZ Pay to facilitate digital cash transfers to beneficiaries in a modern, reliable, cost-effective, and secure way. In addition to ensuring the transparency, speed, accuracy, and efficiency for the MCCT project, above-mentioned banks will also drive financial inclusion, as beneficiaries will get to access financial services through their reliable wallets.
Aiming to reduce childhood stunting, MCCT will increase utilization of nutrition services and improve key nutrition behaviors. As part of the project, cash transfer program will support mothers whose children are in the first 1,000 days of their lives. The beneficiaries will receive cash transfer of 15,000 kyats per month, with the payments made every 3 months from the start of pregnancy until their child's second birthday. The cash transfer is to ensure the pregnant mothers and mothers with young children can afford to purchase nutritious food and have access to antenatal and postnatal care. Usugugo, General Manager of Public Policy and Government Affairs of Gamboza Bank, and he also explained more.
ဒီကတော့ MCC project မှာ KBZ Pay အနေနဲ့ရှမ်းပြည်ကိုတာဝန်ယူပြီးလုပ်ဆောင်သွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်။ဒါပေမဲ့အဓိကကျွန်တော်လုပ်ပေးခြင်းတဲ့ message ကတော့
KBZ Pay will take the responsibility of disbursing the MMCT fund in Shan State. As there are several agents and merchants of KBZ Pay in Shan State, the mothers with young children and pregnant will benefit from this program. It is not about giving support financially, but we will also spread awareness on digital payment to the public. We are not going to tell the beneficiaries on how and what to eat, but we will surely give the advice when we work together with the Department of Social Welfare.
In the first phase of the project in Chin State, Rakhine State, Naga Self-Administered Area, Kayah State, Kayin State, there are more than 250,000 women who have received the fund. And in this second phase in Ayauri region and Chan State, MCCT is expecting to reach out to the same number of women depending on the density of the population.
That's a report on solution to maternal and child nutrition. The businesses in the market have requested the extension of the tax reduction policy in the wake of COVID-19. Vidulodar re-amended this bill and submitted some proposals, and so the sales and purchases got a little cold in real estate market. Pyudiridu, Minto Ojin, Suema and Jen, I have more.
According to the government's tax policy, the tax rates for real estate are about 3% of the purchasing till September 2020. But the government has announced that if one purchases the real estate with the indescribable source of income, the tax rate will raise up to 30% of the purchasing. But the businesses in the market have requested the extensions of the tax reduction policy in the wake of COVID-19. Vidulodar re-amended this bill and submitted some proposals. Although purchasing on real estate market really comes alive with the tax rate set to expire on September that year, it is not needed to be pushed until September to apply for this tax rate. So the sales and purchases get a little of cold in real estate market according to U Tan U, Vice Chairman of the Myanmar Real Estate Services Development Association.
ဆိုပါတော့ဒီစီးပွားရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့မူဝါဒတွေပေါ့ဥပမာဆိုပါတော့အခွန်စနစ်မှာ
It has been a little colder for about a week since the beginning of August. In case of tax rates, there is no need to rush and the government is reconsidering the bill. It means that the tax rate reduction can be extended next year, but it will not be confirmed yet. So, the real estate market is partially active in purchasing. An economic mechanism and a market are constantly considering the policies of the government, and it is only by looking at ups and downs in the real estate market that one can predict.
The form of purchasing in real estate market is also changing in accordance with the trend. Over the previous years, most people make purchasing in real estate market aiming to the long term, as the real estate market is worth from hundreds of millions to hundreds of thousands of millions in the market. But lately, the new forms and trends are also developing in real estate market. Speaking to Myanmar Radio, Une Mintu, Managing Director of Myanmar Housing Real Estate Agency, said about the new forms and trends in real estate market.
COVID ဖြစ်သွားဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကုမ္ပဏီဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော် Myanmar House တော်ကုန်းဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ COVID မတိုင်ခင်ကကျွန်တော်အင်ချင်အယောင်ပြောက်ပွဲတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့
Our company used to hold 2 or more real estate exhibitions in a year, but this year we can't even hold the exhibitions as a public gathering is prohibited due to the COVID-19. So the exhibition format transforms into online platform. The companies are posting the real estate in form of online exhibition on social media platforms. The interested customers can watch and register online. Then the sales staff from the company will call the customers back and explain the details of the project. All after these steps, they follow up on the projects and then sign the contract to make a sale and take the interest fees by the brokers. It can be said that this format is already workable in real estate purchasing. Since the end of May, the real estate are exhibited and sold via online. Now there are over 250 real estates are sold out with this new format. More people began finding the real estate online and they have begun to know about real estate via online. Not just real estate market, but also online platform is becoming more and more popular in various fields.
In the year of 2014, the real estate market of Myanmar reached the highest level, then the sale price dropped down gradually, and then the sale price hit the lowest level in 2019. At present, about 30% to 40% has decreased comparing with the 2014's sales price. Depending on the sellers and buyers' interactively negotiation, some sellers offer the sales which are lower than the current market price. During the past 10 years, depending on the real estate situation, the market situation, and the affordability of each class, the 6-month deposit payment is gradually acceptable instead of 1-year deposit payment. At the time of COVID-19, the culture of 3 months deposit payment is becoming acceptable among the real estate market for rent. The government is developing such housing projects like Yangon New City for rent or for sales in collaboration with the private sector, to be significant increase in house ownership rates in Myanmar.
That's a report on re-amendment to income tax bill causing bit cold in real estate markets in August. In the last decade, our lives have largely moved from bricks to clicks, shifting from a physical dimension to the digital world. The food sector is no exception. As the unfortunate turns of events from COVID-19 shape up what customers demand in food industry, it is time to find out how COVID-19 is changing the way of food industries and restaurants. David Tanner has more.
Regarding the well-known spread of the unfortunate COVID-19, the arising form of contactless delivery to table distancing to Michelin-starred restaurants joining online apps, the COVID-19 outbreak has left its mark on the food service industry in China, and the effects could linger even after the public health emergency is over. With new cases dramatically decreasing in China, life is slowly going back to normal and becomes lively. And that means restaurants are back in business. As well in the world, restaurants are also adapting to the new situation as the pandemic continues its global spread. With Japan deployment of robot chefs to cook noodles at the railway station to Brazil's hungry customers abandoning sit-down meals for orders to comfort of their homes. Regarding these situations, we will find out how the restaurant and food industry have been surviving and enduring these circumstances. Mr. Li Shenwei, chairman of Yunnan Huishang Catering Company Limited, will tell us more about his techniques in controlling the situation in minimal defect.
COVID ကာလမှာပေါ့နော်အခက်အခဲတွေကဒါလုပ်ငန်းတိုင်းရှိနေတာဒီလိုအခက်အခဲကာလမှာစားတောက်ဆိုင်လုပ်ငန်းစုတွေပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုရှင်သန်ရပ်တည်နိုင်အောင်လို့မစ္စတာလီတို့ဒီဟွေရှမ်းစားတောက်ဆိုင်လုပ်ငန်းစုအနေနဲ့ဘယ်လိုမျိုးများဒီအခက်အခဲတွေကိုကြော်ဖြတ်ခဲ့ရတယ်လဲဒီအတွေ့အကြုံလေးတွေကိုမြန်မာပရိသတ်တွေကိုလည်းမျှဝေပေးပါအောင်ရှင့်
疫情过后呢其实作为餐饮业的复工复产啊
If we are to talk about the food business, whether it may be restaurant chain or food delivery, I use certain three methods to maintain the flow of the business. The first method I regularly use will always be to seek out for what people might be demanding. The demand might be related to the food or product they want to consume or services that they think it's better for them. Therefore, before striving to anything innovative, I would firstly seek for what they might be demanding and work on that firstly. And it is really important at the current situation with COVID-19 as people demand services more than ever.
大部分都是做的是食品那么我们如何能够就是把我们的食物变成商品
In the last decade, our lives have largely moved from bricks to clicks, shifting from a physical dimension to the digital world where most transactions are concluded online. Internet-based platforms are the leading actors of this technological shift and unquestionably stand at the heart of today's digital economy. The food sector is no exception. Until recently, food innovation generally happened in laboratories and mostly involved new techniques of agricultural production. Then the digital revolution hit the food sector, as any other industry, and the internet became the instrument through which the agro-food chain started one of its most drastic makeovers. Mr. Li Shenwei will tell us more about this, adding on his experiences regarding this sector.
ဒီ Mr. Li တို့ဟွေရှမ်းစားတောက်ဆိုင်လုပ်ငန်းစုအနေနဲ့ပေါ့နော်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာရောဒီလုပ်ငန်းပေါ့နော်ထူထောင်ဖို့ရှိလားဘယ်လိုအခြေအနေရှိလဲပူးပေါင်းမှုတွေပါရှိလားအဲ့ဒါလေးလည်းသိချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
一定要减少所有不必要的开支
On the other hand, the second method I use is to expand the ease in service activities on the online side of things. As for us, Yunnan Huishang, we are working on to make packaging viable to store for a little longer to be shippable or deliverable for a longer period of time, which is really a necessity. We should always look for a way to make online purchasing reliable and convenient for all ages. The UI for the website should be simple and accessible with precise direction to help majority of the people relating those areas. Last method but not least is to finally innovate new products and food recipes to expand your customers' need as much as you can. You must cater towards customers' demand as much as possible. You could also make some researches for what they want as well as to listen what people are saying about the products that they want. With that said, relating to Myanmar, we are currently considering importing Myanmar's raw ingredients and using it in our products to actually make a business connection between Yunnan's side of food procedures and Myanmar's.
达成很多的农产品的一些的采购的一些合作
That's a report on how COVID-19 is changing the way of food industries. That's all with the reports on Myanmar Today. Now let's move into some international news here on Myanmar Today. The Philippines plans to start clinical trials for a Russian coronavirus vaccine in October, with President Rodrigo Duterte expected to be inoculated as early as May 2021, the presidential spokesman said on Thursday. Phase 3 clinical trials in Philippines are due to run from October to March 2021 after a panel of the vaccine experts completes its review on Russia's Phase 1 and 2 trials in September, Harry Roque, Duterte's spokesman, told a briefing. Russia on Tuesday became the first country to grant regulatory approval for a COVID-19 vaccine, which is to be named Sputnik V in homage to former Soviet Union's launch of the world's first satellite. China's State Council Information Office held a press conference on Thursday to introduce new measures for protecting foreign trade and stabilizing supply chains against the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. China's international trade is recovering despite the global recession caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Assistant Minister of Commerce Ren Hongbin said, quote, "In the first 7 months, China's import and export trade recovered better than expected and contributed to stabilizing economic growth," unquote. The number of unemployed Australians topped 1 million for the first time ever during the month of July amid the COVID-19 pandemic, despite almost 115,000 jobs being created during the same period, the Australian Bureau of Statistics said Thursday. Between June and July, the national unemployment rate rose from 7.4% to 7.5%, an increase of 15,700 people, reaching its highest level percentage-wise since 1998 as businesses struggled with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's all we have for you today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I am Agajo. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe. I'll see you again. Goodbye.